What's up, James? So, Fangraphs is the website that I use the most. Um, the places that I go to are if you go to leaders and you can click on, like down here, batters versus left versus right, home, away. Just click on any of those. It'll take you to the splits leaderboard. Or up here at the top, it'll say leaderboards. You want to click on splits leaderboards and organize it by team, and also make sure it's on batting. I think it does that automatically. And then you can click update. And the big thing here is you can look at batting average if you want to, but batting average is like you can sort it by anything. Batting average, so like Boston has the best batting average in the league. This is just like total numbers. So like Colorado is second, but Colorado plays at Coors Field, which has crazy elevation, so their numbers are kind of juiced. So the way that they kind of account for that is they take into account this stat called WRC plus, which is basically just weighted runs created, and then the plus just means ballpark adjusted. So obviously the Rockies play at a really hitter-friendly field because of the elevation. You take a look, they adjust for it. They're actually 25th in the league in hitting if you take away the factor of their ballpark. So what I do is how I start the day. Sometimes if I have the time, I'll just go Baseball Savant. You just look at any matchup. The big things to look at, I told you, XWOPA. I just like seeing the difference between average and XBA. XBA is just expected batting average. So Shane Bieber's a really good pitcher in real life. So you can see his out of players that are currently on the Tigers roster, which he's had 164 plate appearances against them because they're division rivals, plays them a lot. Good strikeout percentage. Exit velo, I don't really ever look at that, or LA. I think that's just launch angle. Yeah, but X slugging as well, you can look at that. I don't really pay too much mind to that unless it's like a pitcher who's known for giving up home runs. I'll take a look at that and see how many plate appearances and can just compare. Out of just all this info, these are the two things that I compare. So his expected batting average, 198. There's really no significant difference here. But if you come over here to Michael Pineda, who I believe this game right now is actually 7-2 Tigers, historically bad against the Cleveland Guardians, pitched well today. He actually pitched like 5 innings, only allowed 2 runs, and his expected batting average is actually 246, which means he's been getting unlucky, obviously, because his batting average, again, like hitters against him, they all bat collectively 317, guys on the Guardians who he's actually faced before. So I'll do that for like every game. I'll scroll through here on Baseball Savant and look at every single game. If there's like a guy that I want to take a look at, so like let's say like I wanted to look at Michael Pineda because he doesn't pitch very well against the Guardians from looking at this. So if I wanted to look at Michael Pineda, see maybe if he pitched against the Guardians this year, I go on to Baseball Reference, which is just like, you know, they have Basketball Reference, Football Reference, all that. Big thing that I do is I'll come down here. Pineda's been in the league since 2011. That's, you know, kind of irrelevant. So I'll go to game logs, pitching, because he's a pitcher, 2022. And it will show you who they pitched against, like their opponent, days of rest in between. That's not really ever a big thing to look at unless it's maybe like a reliever who's pitching. Like maybe if there was like a reliever or something who pitched like 1 day of rest and then they're going to start him the next day, I would probably think he's not going to do too hot unless he's a good reliever, something like that. So like obviously you can see here they're playing against Cleveland today, the game that's going on. He has not played against them this year, but his most recent matchup was against the Kansas City Royals. They lost. He started the game till the 5th inning is what that means. He had 47 days rest because he has been out since May. The last time he pitched was against Baltimore, and it looks like he left due to injury because he had not allowed a hit or a run, so that makes sense. But he allowed 7 hits on 3 runs, only 3 strikeouts. He allowed 2 home runs to the Royals, who are not a very good team. It was all 3 of the runs that they scored. So they lost that game 3-1. You can look at all the other games, just like take a look. I just think it's kind of irrelevant to look too far back because he got injured. But like, if you wanted to take a look, I'm sure Shane Bieber actually got very unlucky today. Like, he's a good pitcher, but he got very unlucky today against the Tigers. I was watching that game. They got like 5 singles in a row that were like all bullshit, like smacked to the other side or like barely squeaked through. So you see Shane Bieber has pitched a lot of games this year. He played against Detroit twice, once at home, once away. They won this game 8-1. So they're playing against Detroit in Detroit today. So this is a big game to look at. He went 8 innings, 8 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. I took Indians minus 1.5, meaning that they need to win by 1.5 runs or more, which basically just means they need to win by 2 because you can't score half runs in baseball. So minus 1.5, they need to win by at least 2. I thought that was smart. He played against Detroit pitching in Cleveland, and they lost that game 4-2. He pitched 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, but allowed 3 runs. The difference here, I don't know if you know the difference between runs and earned runs. So an earned run is just like if somebody got a base hit and came around to score, that would be an earned run and a run. But the only difference is if somebody reached on an error, like a throwing error, like if the third baseman just chucked one over the first baseman's head, that guy gets to go to second and he ends up coming around to score, that wouldn't count as an earned run because it wasn't his fault that that guy got on base, but it still does count as a run, if that makes sense. So like I was looking at this earlier today, and I thought, okay, it's a good pick to take Cleveland. Obviously, not everything is going to work out all the time. The Tigers are literally mopping the floor with them right now. So this is the other page I look at. So like if I look at that picture, sorry, this video is going to be pretty long. You can just fast forward or crop as you please, whatever. Another page I look at is on Fangraphs. I believe this is under the Teams tab and Team Batting 2022. I'm going to click on that and see if that just takes me to the same spot. Yeah. Okay, so this... Oh, well, actually, you could also just come up... Oh, never mind. Ignore that. So we're back on this page under Teams, Team Batting 2022, or Pitching. Usually always just on team stats, batting. This is a big one. I usually will just let it go for full season, but like if you want to check recency is pretty important in baseball as well. So I would go within either the last 30 days or the full season. So either like the last month or the full season. Maybe last 2 weeks, but 2 weeks is a very small sample size in baseball, so usually like a month or the full season. So the thing I do is I come down here, and you can take a look at pitch type. So pitch type is basically just what percent of the time this team sees this pitch. So the Toronto Blue Jays, or not the Toronto Blue Jays, so the Cleveland Guardians see the most amount of fastballs in the league at 52.3%. So then I see that, and I want to see how they actually hit against it. So I'll come over here to pitch value. This is what I look at a lot. This is very important. I'll come over here to pitch value, and I'll click on W fastball, which is just weighted fastball stats. So Cleveland, according to that pitch type, they see the most amount of fastballs. Where is Cleveland on this list? 4th to last. So pretty reasonable that they see the most amount of fastballs because they can't hit them for shit. So then, like another thing, like Atlanta hits the fastball. Like, they hit the fastball better than any other team hits like any other pitch, because Atlanta's just been red hot. Like, just been amazing for like the past month and a half, like 2 months. They've just been on fire. They were on like a 15-game winning streak. So, you know, you would think Atlanta probably doesn't see as many fastballs. Just from thinking about that, you would think, why the fuck would you throw them a fastball if they're just going to demolish it? And deservingly so. They see the, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th least amount of fastballs in the league. So that's just something cool. You can go down the list. FB is fastball. The V here just stands for the average velocity that pitch is. That's pretty irrelevant, because all of these numbers are going to be exactly the same. Same thing with like velocity for really any pitch. The pitches that I look at: FB, fastball, slider, cutter, curveball, changeup. SF is split finger fastball. That is always going to be very low, and it's pretty irrelevant. You don't really need to look at it, because not that many guys even throw that pitch. If they do, then I would suggest looking at it, but it's not you're never really going to see it. Like, the Washington Nationals, of all teams, hit the split finger fastball the best in the league, according to this. And then obviously your good offensive teams, the White Sox, the Blue Jays, the Mets, the Rockies, might have had a couple good games at home or something, but then it's like Baltimore and Cleveland, Texas, teams that can't hit. So that is pretty much it. There's this page on the Action Network, on actionnetwork.com. There's the URL up there, just in case. This page I should probably refresh. So this page will show you every single team's overall record, just like their normal record in the actual league, how they do at home. So the Yankees are absurd at home. Haven't even lost 10 games yet. That's insane. And you see the Astros up here. They're the best team on the road. ATS means against the spread. So that the spread is what I was talking about, that +1.5, that -1.5. So the Orioles are 53-29 against the spread. That's mostly due to coming into the year, they were rated very, very poorly, like supposed to be the worst team in the league. Their record obviously is not terrible. They're 38-44 for a team that everyone thought was going to be terrible. They're on the same level as a team like the Rangers that people thought maybe could be good, because they made out with some big signings. So you can look at that. ATS, so obviously the Orioles winning 38 games when they were probably expected to win like not that many at all, 53-29 against the spread. And that would also include some of their losses as wins as well, because literally I think every single Major League Baseball game, the spread is either +1.5 or -1.5. It'll never be different. It'll never be like +1.5 and -2.5. If it's +1.5, it's -1.5 on the other side. So the Orioles definitely had a lot of one-run losses or wins. So that's why that record's so high. You can check their home and away, their record over-under. I think this just means that they went over 45, under 35 times, and then one time it pushed. Push just means like if the over-under set at 9, the final score is 9. So it's basically like literally a tie. That's why it's like that. And you can just organize it by home and away. So that's pretty much all that I look at. I would say the biggest thing that I do, when you check the starting pitchers and you think you found a game that you like, very important, go to Baseball Reference, look at their game logs, see if they've pitched against that team. If they haven't, just look at their most recent starts, and then come back and you can check out, there's another thing here. So if you go on Fangraphs, this is probably the biggest thing that I've said so far, actually, now that I think about it. So we were looking at Shane Bieber on here, right? So we can actually look up Shane Bieber on the Fangraphs website. Click on his name, and it will show you here at the top of the screen what pitches he throws, what % of the time. So that's obviously very important. So he throws a lot of slider, a lot of fastball, almost even, cutter. Come back over here. We can go to our team leaderboard. So Cleveland was playing against the Tigers today. So he throws a lot of sliders and a lot of fastballs. Where's Detroit against the slider? Would it make sense why they hit so well today? Not at all, because the sliders, they're really bad against the slider. I don't think the fastball was in one of his pitches. No? Yeah, no, it was. It was. FA, fastball. How do they hit against the fastball? They're literally the second worst team against the fastball. And then, what was his last one? The curveball. You're going to tell me they hit the curveball well? They're the worst against the curveball. So, although all of this will show you some great stuff, you will have games today, like this Cleveland Guardians game, that a lot of professional bettors took Cleveland minus 1.5 because their money line was so big. So when you're betting like $10 on games like I do, or well, I'm not even going to say that. So usually I'll open up the app for you. So like this is just the Action Network app. It's just pretty much on my computer. So like Phillies and Nationals. Let's take a look at this game, right? So the consensus, it opened at minus 205. It's currently at minus 237. So that number getting bigger, like farther away from, I guess you could say 0 if you wanted to. Plus 100 / like minus 100, I think is like even odds. Like if you bet 10, you win 10. 205, you would have to bet $20 and $20.5 to win $10, or $205 to win $100, if that makes sense. So that obviously grew. So in my case, I like to win $10 for getting a pick right. So I would bet, if I was going to take the Phillies and I wanted to take their money line, I would bet $20.5. But now the odds are at minus 237, so I'd have to bet $23.7 for them. Luckily, I have DraftKings, so if I wanted to do that, it's not so big, so I could spend less money to win $10. The Nationals are plus 175. Well, they opened at that. They're currently around plus 200. So that would mean $5 basically to win 10. So it's a lot easier to bet $5 than to bet 20 and then the Phillies lose or something like that. So if I am very confident that the Phillies are going to win this game, that's why the money line is so high, because the sportsbook pretty much is telling you the Phillies are going to win this game. They have Aaron Nola pitching. Very good. He's been really good recently. You can check out everything on like Fangraphs and everything. The Phillies are fantastic again. A fantastic matchup today against the Nationals. But if I wanted to come down here, you can check the spread, and the spread is 1.5 for mostly, like I said, almost like literally like 99.9% of games. The over/under is set at 8. It opened at 8.5, so they don't think there's going to be a lot of runs scored. Usually anything under 9, they'll say like, okay, this could be a good pitcher's game. But like I said, like over/unders are pretty hard to tell. I bet on one or two today, and they both lost pretty badly. You can see on the Action Network app. This is also on the app, even though I'm online. It'll show you the wind, which way the wind is blowing. So it'll be blowing to the right, I believe. It's going to be 83 degrees at game time with like no rain. Keys to the game: Phils are 0-8 when tied entering the 8th inning this season. We can ignore that because we know the Phillies are bad. But this is the big thing: the spread. It's minus 109 if the Phillies win by 2 runs or more. Well, I guess like 1.5, like I said, basically 2. So if the Phillies win by 2 runs or more, I only have to bet basically 11 because it's minus 109. So it'd be $10.90 to win $10. It's the same odds if the Nationals lose by less than 2 runs. So if they lose by 1 or even win the game, you would win this bet. You don't even need to take the Nationals winning. But if you really, really thought the Nationals were going to win this game, this would be the move. But if you think that they have a fighting chance, you might want to take this. And then, you know, if you're very, very confident in the Phillies, you're probably better off taking the -1.5 rather than spending $23 to win 10. You could spend 11 and just pray that they win by more than 2 or more. So I hope that helped. Fucking hell, man. I spoke for 20 minutes straight. I can't believe that. Hope this helps, man. You can obviously reference this whenever you want. I'll send it to you over text so you can save it if you want. Peace.